Good morning, this is John from Two Doves Bees and Gardens. Today is honey day. So I'm about to open this hive. I put on this escape board yesterday. That's what this green section is, basically to let the bees go down. I also put in this kind of fume board here yesterday. I don't think it's working. So I think this box is still full of bees, but we're about to find out. Escape board basically is a board that lets the bees go down, but the idea is to not let them come back up. So it's got a triangle mesh in there, and they can find their way out. And once they find their way out, they can't find their way back in. And we'll show you what that looks like when we take this apart. One thing you'll notice is I put straps on my hives. This because we get a lot of strong wind, and we actually had a very strong wind, big storm come through last night. And by the way, this is a Be Smart Design insulated outer cover. I love these things. In the Texas heat and in the really cold, it keeps the temperature in the hive much more consistent. And below that is the Be Smart Design insulated inner cover. And this is really provides some insulation to your hive. Yeah, there's still a lot of bees in here. So this is going to be a little more tricky to harvest this honey than I was hoping. But that's okay. We can still get it done. As I mentioned in the intro, there's several frames that are full of honey in here and several that are empty. And we'll show you that as we get into this. So you see this is an empty comb. See, this is a nicely capped frame of honey on one side. On the other side, it's not capped. A lot of people will tell you to do a shake test to see if this is actually harvestable. I'm going to put this back in the hive. That's a lot of honey right there. You can see this one is not done yet. Very similar. You can see that they've got a lot of nectar in there, but it's not fully capped. And the other side is empty. So we'll leave this one in the hive as well. These next couple frames are completely capped and very heavy with honey. See, this is a fully capped honey frame. We'll brush these girls off of here and then move this frame into a separate box. So that's one frame of honey so far. We'll be able to get a couple more out of this box. Oh wow, this is a very heavy frame of honey. So I believe the rest of these frames in this section are just empty frames, but we're going to verify just to be safe. So this is the escape board, and I'll take this off of here so you can kind of see what it looks like. So let me pull off this escape board so you can kind of see what it looks like underneath. And so you can see below that there's a screened triangle, and the bees can come out through this hole here. I don't know if you can see my finger here. And then they have the bees come out on this side, on the tips of the triangle, and it doesn't let them come back in. That's why so many bees are up here in this section. So you can see this is an empty frame. We're just going to set this aside. You see I'm trying to be very gentle with the bees, even where I place my hive tool, so that I'm trying not to catch any bees or squish them. See, this one looks like it's got some nectar. It's got some capped honey, but they're still working on this, and the same on the other side. So I think we'll leave this one for the bees. Just set this aside for now. Now, so you can see on this frame that we can't harvest this one. Do you see why?
I do see why.
Why is that, Sarah?
There's brood.
We have brood. The queen has moved up in here, and there's capped brood amongst some of this honey. Same on the other side. So this frame has to stay with the colony. This one has lots of honey, but you can also see it's foundationless. You see that, Sarah?
I do see that.
So we have to be very careful with this frame, and it probably needs to stay with the bees. They need to finish filling out this frame. So that'll be one that they can keep for their food stores, their food reserves. This is another frame that's got a lot of nectar. It's not quite ready yet. So this will be a frame that we have to come back for later in the year, or it may stay with the bees. Provide food for winter. I'm hoping we get another frame of honey or two, at least, from this hive. And this is another foundationless. It's got lots of nectar. It's completely full of nectar. Let me bring that by so you can see. Maybe you can see on camera. Can you see that, Sarah? Can you see the glistening nectar? The bees will ultimately dry that out and fully cap it with a wax seal. And then it will be ready. Complete nectar frame. And that side is completely capped. So this one still needs some time to be finished up by the bees. And this looks like we can take this one. It's completely capped on one side and over 90% capped on the other. So in lieu of an inner cover, I'm going to put this box here on top. This is called a Vivaldi board. Okay, this is our 8-frame hive, and I know that this bottom box right here is full of honey. I just put this box on yesterday. I just put on top, it's empty frames. So what we'll do is we'll pull this off, move this box down, take the queen excluder off, and then the bees will have access to everything. Eventually, when we finish the honey harvest, we'll bring all the frames that we harvest that has empty, all the honey's out of it, we'll bring it back to these hives and let them clean them up. They'll be able to take all of the residual honey that we leave and take it out and store it into their hives, into their frames that they want to store it in. Let me bring you around this side so you can kind of see what the front of this hive looks like. You can see that there are a lot of bees. It's a very strong colony. They're doing very well. and we'll look at the honey here in just a moment. So pretty much all we're doing is taking the lid off, taking this top box off. There'll be bees in there probably, but it's all empty. And we're going to take the box below that. You can see a lot of bees up here. See, I just put this in here last night, and there are bees already cleaning up this frame here in the middle. So, just so for reference, you might notice that there's these three white frames in here. These frames have built-in honeycomb. It's already pre-made for them. All they have to do is fill it. The downside to these frames is they don't have the ears up here, so you have to space them yourself. And but if you look in here, you can see lots and lots of bees already in here, and they're working on this frame already, and they just got this last night. So the bees have had this honey super for a couple months, I guess, in spring, and it was completely empty. And I'll pull a frame or two just to show you, and then we'll take this whole box. One frame might be partially, that still needs to be capped, but I think it's close enough to be able to harvest. See, look at that. That's a beautiful frame of honey. And then the other side as well. They've really done really well on this super. That's good. We'll just take a look at a couple more frames here, because I was pretty sure that there was one that wasn't quite done, but we'll see. How that side looks there. Completely done. See this one right in the middle?
Not quite sealed yet.
But the other side is completely done.
Perfect.
And this should be no problem harvesting that frame. It's over 90% capped. Same with this one.
And that one looks foundationless, so be careful.
Yes, it is foundationless, but you can see right in the middle, same thing. They're in the process of capping it. It should be more than sufficient to be able to be harvested. That one looks perfect, both sides. And let them finish it. That one looks good. Okay, now what we need to do probably is pull this off and brush the bees into that other box. So let me pull this box off, grab that box and put it on here carefully. Okay, move this over here.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Just stick it up
Do you
there.
want to smoke them?
Yeah. Go ahead. This is going to be a little tricky part. Now we got to pull these frames and brush the bees down into that box. So hold this. I'll shake them and you brush them. Make sense?
I'm with you.
Brush, brush.
Come on, honeybees.
Once we've harvested the honey into the honey bucket, you can see that the 5-gallon bucket has a spout on it. For ease of filling our honey jars, we shift the honey from the 5-gallon bucket into basically a drink dispenser. And then we can use that little nozzle there to fill our honey jars. This year we're separating our honey from the 2 different hives. The bigger hive that you saw us collecting honey frames from has a darker honey, and I'll show you the difference. Here's the darker honey from that first hive, and then behind this is the honey from the second hive, and you can see the color difference between the two. One is much darker than the other. So after we've done the honey harvesting, we bring out things and let the bees finish cleaning up what we haven't taken. When they're done with their cleanup processes, we'll actually come back behind and clean everything up before we put it away for the year. Let me show you what that looks like. So you can see there's some wax cappings, a little bit of residue that's left here, and you can see the bees have found it, as well as a little wasp. But the bees are there cleaning up the leftovers.